And I would take a look at it, but I don't have a 3DS capture card yet. I love you guys. Hello everyone and happy Halloween. Now last year, I took a look at Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. A pretty fun game, might I add. So, at the end of that review, I told you guys I would look at Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon once I got a 3DS capture card. Well, thanks to my lovely patrons, I finally have my hands on one. It's kind of surreal. I've wanted one of these since about 2012. It's kind of a cool thing to actually hold one in my hand. But since I have this equipment now, I can finally look at Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the Nintendo 3DS. Now before I really get into the review, let's cover a little bit of background on it. So as I talked about before, Luigi's Mansion was that kind of game that became more popular years after its release. Well, it kept building up until about E3 2011, where Luigi's Mansion 2 was revealed to the public seemingly out of nowhere. You couldn't even believe how excited I was at the news, and easily became my most looked forward to title for the 3DS at the time next to Kid Icarus Uprising. Since the reveal, the name would be changed to Dark Moon, and I would follow the game every day until it released. Though the game was now being handled by Next Level Games, who did both Mario Strikers and Punch-Out Wii, and considering I really enjoyed both of them, I had faith that they would deliver a quality product. So, does the sequel rise above or fall below its predecessor? Only one way to find out, so hold on, just give me 1 minute, guys, Hello? Yeah, I was gonna get started with the review right now, kind of calling me in the middle of it. Yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's get started. So the game takes place sometime after the first game, where EGAD is now studying in Evershade Valley, where the ghosts are actually helping him with his experiments. But one day, King Boo, who managed to come out of his painting, destroys the Dark Moon, causing all the ghosts to go back to their mischievous ways. EGAD, knowing only one person who can help him out, gets in contact with Luigi in his rank F house. So come on, I got the mansion last time, I call shenanigans. Anyway, he brings Luigi to his lab using the pixelizer, it's teleportation, and Luigi goes to help retrieve the Dark Moon shards from the different mansions of Evershade Valley to set everything right. About as simple as the first game, nothing too important, just a means to have another adventure, and that's about it. Though this whole thing with this painting felt kind of forced, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna harp on it too much, so let's just get a move on. Now for a sequel, the game's art has been drastically changed from the GameCube original. The first one used a more realistic looking world with cartoon character designs, which did work for the atmosphere of that title, but Dark Moon opts for a more Saturday morning cartoon Halloween special artistic design, and honestly, I think I actually like it more than the original. It fits more in line with the Mario universe, and the cartoony nature really lets them get away with a lot more in the design of the areas. I thought I turned it off. Hello? Yes, I'm in the middle of the review right now. You're kind of interrupting the video. Cutscenes also have a lot more cinematography than before. I mean, there was some here and there in the original, but here it's so much better. And anything with King Boo leads to really cool looking shots. Seriously, so many of these feel like they could be movie posters, it's great. The soundtrack I also think got a massive improvement. There's a lot more variety in the tracks and they all fit incredibly well. I mean, I still think the best song is the original Luigi's Mansion theme, but to be fair, I think it will be that way for any other Luigi's Mansion game. You know, in case we get more of them. The enemies have also gotten a big change in their appearances. Now the ghosts do a lot more things in the mansion, and have a lot more personality than the ghosts of the past. From having a pool party, messing around with cars, and even painting. It makes the world feel a lot more alive, and in terms of the standard enemies, I prefer these guys a lot more to the standard ghosts from the last title. But the star of the presentation is without a doubt Luigi himself. Remember how last time they would portray Luigi as a bit of a scaredy cat with him shivering and being spooked by all the ghosts? Yeah, they go all in with that in this game. And not only that, they just let Luigi shine with his personality a lot more. The only other game that I can think Luigi has as much personality in is the Mario & Luigi series. That's really about it. From him being happy when he finds upgrades, to him being so let down when he realizes a key item was taken away from him, and of course, him not wanting to go through anything EGAT has for him. This makes me enjoy every cutscene that the game has to offer, and I always wanted to see what the Green Man had up his sleeve next. So the presentation shines with this game, but does the gameplay have enough to keep your attention? So Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon changes up things quite a bit from the original. Luigi is able to do just about everything he could in the original game, minus the elemental powers you could get. But you do get a few new skills to make up for it. The first one is your flashlight. When you charge it up with the A button, you can release a widespread shot of light that stuns all ghosts in the area, which was most likely done because the 3DS doesn't have a C-stick. Unless you're playing with a new 3DS. And since that controlled your light last time, this had to be modified, and honestly, I think this works out a bit better, simplifying it in a way that doesn't feel intrusive. Not to mention, it's really reliable. And then there's the dark light. See, boosts now make certain objects in the mansion completely invisible. If you shine your dark light on them and suck up all the spirits that come out, you can get an object to reappear and either find treasure or solve a puzzle in a room. Now in terms of how the game is played, that's where Dark Moon makes a lot of the drastic changes. See, the game is now more mission-based, with about 5 to 6 missions for each of the 5 mansions, each taking about 15 minutes to complete. You're told of your objective by EGAT when you select a mission and off you go. At the end, you're ranked by your cash, damage taken, and time. Your rank can either be a bronze, silver, or gold. The treasure this time doesn't go to a better ending or anything like that. Rather, it goes into upgrading your equipment. The dark light having more time before it overheats, and the poltergust giving you 3 levels that you can press the A button on to do more damage. If you capture a ghost with a higher level of the boost, you can score more cash by doing so. There are also boosts you can find once again, with 1 hidden per mission. Trust me, they are nowhere near as tedious as they used to be. Thank you. Collect all of them in the mansion to get the bonus level for said mansion, where you need to catch all the ghosts in the area as fast as possible. There are also gemstones hidden in different missions of each mansion. Collect all of them in the mansion to get a statue, with 5 in total. Once you get to the end of the mansion, you'll have a boss fight, retrieve a part of the Dark Moon, and work your way through Evershade Valley to set everything back to normal. And finally, there's the Scare-Scraper, the multiplayer mode, where you and 3 other Luigis can participate in a time attack, capturing ghosts, or looking for polterpups in several floor challenges. And that's about it for Dark Moon's gameplay. So what are the things that I liked? So Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon changes up a lot of things, and I have to say, I can get used to a lot of these changes really fast, and many of them are great additions to the formula. For one, I love the new battle system. I think it honestly has a lot more strategy required than the first game, and the ghost will also be a lot more vicious than before, creating a big do I let this ghost go or take a hit scenario that adds a lot more depth to each encounter. Not to mention that the ghosts will have different equipment, from shields or weapons to attack you with, or work your strategies around. So combat never gets stale, and I honestly think it's better than the first game in that department. And the fact that you can upgrade the poltergust to add even more depth to the combat just makes that more rewarding. Plus the fact that performing better gets you more cash that feeds into your upgrading system creates a really engaging system that feeds into itself, and I like that. The level design is also a lot more in-depth than before. Not necessarily really challenging, but will make you think a lot more than the first game, and it can be a lot more creative. In the first game, you were only limited to sucking things up or using your elemental attacks. Here, you need to fly up with a balloon, carry fire, carry explosions to a certain area, set up gears, and especially the dark light adds a lot more to the level design in a whole new way that doesn't feel intrusive at all. Honestly, the variety beats out the original game in terms of how many elements they keep throwing at you. The ice and final mansions easily being my favorite with the portal mechanic. Speaking of which, I really do love that final mansion, with each area in it having its own theme, and it's easily the most explorative part of the game. If you ask me, the entire game should have been like this, but that's for later. The bonus areas you can find in different levels where you can find red coins were also great fun, and a cool side challenge. I just wish that there were a few more of them or a single player mode on the side with these, because honestly, it was a lot of fun and made you have to think on your feet fast. And of course, the star of the game to me is Luigi himself. He's so expressive in a very cartoony way that just adds a certain level of charm that's apparent and welcome. And all these changes carry throughout the entire game, which is a very good thing. Unfortunately, I do have my fair share of problems with the game that I just can't overlook. Yeah, I had a lot of things that really bugged me on my journey throughout the game. It might sound like a lot, but it's mostly a lot of little things that add up. You don't really feel like you get to explore that much, and honestly, it kind of feels like you're being handheld throughout the entire adventure. Not like handheld gaming, but like the game is actually holding your hand throughout. In the original, you had keys, and your map that just told you what rooms you've been in, what rooms were locked, and which ones you could open. The rest was up to you, making it feel like you're exploring the mansion yourself, and led to a more memorable game experience. Here, you're always told where to go at all times, and while I normally think that's a good thing, it ends up being a negative in this case. Now you basically always know what's up ahead, especially since you have to backtrack to previous locations a lot of the time, and EGAD will constantly tell you what's up ahead, so it feels like a guided show most of the time more than an explorative adventure. Not helping that is the repetitiveness of the mansions themselves. Not in terms of the theming, but how almost all of them are structured with the same types of missions. Go into a mansion and explore the first floor. Find a way down to the bottom floor. Rescue a toad who's trapped by the booze. Stop a ghost messing things up in the mansion. And it's like this every time. And then there are the ones that just flat out annoyed me, where you go to an area that you couldn't explore last mission, and right before you're about to go in, ghosts show up and roadblock you from going into there, and now you're forced to go into areas you've already been into to hunt them down. It's like the game is saying, you want to go into the new area? No. What you really want to do is be in the same area you've been in for 4 missions, because that is what we call fun. These kinds of missions really drag the game down for me, especially when they can be up to 20 minutes or so, and they're just here to extend the game. Same goes for the stairway on the second boss. Anyone who's played the game knows how long it takes to get through, and it just goes on and on. And true, you sometimes go into new areas, but it's never areas you're interested in going to, so it ends up being unappealing no matter how you look at it. Oh, for the love of... What do you want, old man? Let's talk about that. EGAD likes to call you a lot. Like, a lot. Like, after any major event or gathering a new collectible or anything like that. It does nothing but stop you in your tracks and gets on your nerves fast. True, EGAD did call you after every boo and such in the original, but his dialogue was short and it didn't feel that bad. But here, it's happening multiple times per mission, and that ringtone will be burned into your head by one playthrough alone. Can I please have him on collar block or something? Please stop telling me about events I just witnessed and let me fix the problem. It's not that difficult of a concept, old man. I also don't like how the game can be kind of vague on certain things. The prime example being this boss fight with the mirror ghosts. I really couldn't tell what to do, and if you screw up the attack, they do a lot of damage on you. And then you lose all your health, and then you have to play through the 15-minute level all over again to get another shot. The only way to stop this is to find a golden bone somewhere in the level, but still you could have made things a little bit more clear on what you were supposed to do from the get-go. Speaking of bosses, they're really underwhelming. The only ones I enjoyed were the first boss and the final boss. All the other ones were pretty dull. One of them just being Boolossus without being Boolossus, and the rest of them are the same type of ghost every time, and not unique like the portrait ghost from the first game, which to me kind of loses a lot of the fun factor in taking them down. Multiplayer also feels really tacked on and kind of dull. I mean, it's just kind of there with no substance to make it worth playing. Not to mention the lag can be kind of iffy, and modes such as Rush can be heavy on the RNG factor that makes some floors impossible without 4 players. So Dark Moon is a game that does improve things from the original, but it also takes away a lot of the things that I loved about this game. So, how do I rank the two? Well, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is a sequel that's very different in a lot of ways from its original, while still keeping the main gameplay intact. It's a really odd kind of situation, but I think there is a quality product here. At the same time, I wish it kept a lot of the things that made the original game so much fun to go back to, as this one is nowhere near as replayable and doesn't hold up well on multiple playthroughs. But it also does have a lot more bang for its buck, being a much longer game that I think is enjoyed more in bursts. So which game you like more is more up to preference. And for me, I side with the original, which is easy to say because I played that countless times over and over, and I've only played through Dark Moon fully 2 times. Once at launch, and once for this review. But I do think Dark Moon is worth at least 1 full playthrough, and considering it recently became a Nintendo Select title, making it much cheaper to buy new, if you're interested, you have a good opportunity now. And that was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Honestly, it's kind of apples and oranges which game you'll end up liking more. And if you like the longer adventure, you'll probably end up liking Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon more, but for me, I go with the original. The shorter replayable adventure is just overall more fun for me. Now, will there be a third one? Yeah, maybe. It's kind of up in the air if it will happen or not. To be honest, Luigi's Mansion 3 isn't a game I necessarily need right now. You know, it's not a sequel to this, I'm just saying, okay. Another time. So, now with that out of the way... Wait a minute. I thought hello? Sales call, okay, just give me 1 minute, I'll be back. You know, this Skulltown place doesn't sound that bad, so, I think I'm gonna take a trip there. I'll see you guys in a bit. Like, seriously, the next video isn't gonna be that long of a wait, okay? Okay, we all good. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. First off, I wanna say thank you to my Patreons once again. People like Soul Ninja Star, Arcana, and Shy Ranger have made this review possible. Thank you guys so much, and I really do appreciate it. If you want to support the show, you can go to the Patreon and become a backer yourself, where you can get some access to behind the scenes stuff that I do, and all the money from there goes right back into production. Now, if you're new to the channel, you can check out my original Luigi's Mansion review on the left, or you can see my other reviews on the right. And if you want to follow me, check me out on Facebook and Twitter because I update them quite frequently. Now, I need to get to work on the next marathon, so I'll see you then.